Hey admins, how we doing out there? Like I said last week, the video was a little short, and this week we're going to talk about some of the responsibilities of the administrator and of the board. And I'm going to try to not make it too lengthy, but it's very important issues. First, let me go over Heart of the Community. So we are now officially into November, so the second quarter is over as of October 31st. We need to be putting in all of our stuff in the Heart of the Community report that we've done the last 3 quarters. Several lodges, as always, we tell you to keep up with it. It makes it easier so you don't forget stuff. And have several lodges that haven't put anything in yet, so please start adding that stuff in for those newer administrators. And I know that I harp about Heart of the Community a lot, but that is the form that we're not just trying to make more work for you. That is the form that we show what charity work we've done, benefits we've had, what we've donated money to, uh, items we've given away, and that form is a document that we save for in the future, that if we ever have to prove to the Indiana Gaming Commission or to the IRS that we're doing charity work, that's one of the first things we're going to go to. So we can't leave that blank. We need to be adding stuff that. So please do that right away. Do not wait till the last day, which is the 15th. I hate always on the 14th or 15th having to call a lodge and say, hey, you haven't entered anything yet, and you guys are waiting to the last minute. You never know when the internet's going to be down and you won't be able to do something like that. So please keep up on that. If you do it, it only takes a couple minutes once a week to keep up on. Um, we've had a few issues this past week, and it's not happening at just one lodge, it's happened at several. When it comes to the administrator slash social quarters manager and their duties. It's clearly defined, especially in the House Committee Handbook, which will probably be updated at some point. And if you need to show one of your Board of Officers this video so they understand it also, feel free to do that. I don't like the video being shared a lot, but to another board member who's giving you a hard time is perfectly fine. It is the administrator's job to do the hiring and firing. That board has appointed you. You've been elected by the membership to run the lodge. And as social quarters manager, you have the right to hire and fire. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't a problem with the bartender and we don't want to correct what we do want to correct their behavior sometimes, and we want to discuss that with the board so the board can be aware of it. We always want the board to kind of watch what bartenders are doing. You know, we want to watch to see if they're stealing money, over pouring, or doing something incorrectly, or just being rude. Now, again, those officers have no authority in the social quarters to correct that bartender, but they can keep an eye on it and bring it back to the board, and the board can discuss it, and so the administrator slash social quarters manager can do something about it. We've got too many chiefs and not enough engines right now, too many cooks in the kitchen, and we got too many officers that are trying to say they don't like this bartender or they want to keep this bartender and are telling the administrator what to do. Again, those things should be discussed, but again, it's up to the administrator and the board to kind of guide them along. Again, we seem to be having an issue right now with bartenders that are breaking rules and laws, more importantly, and you know, the administrator has to act quick when they catch that stuff so that, you know, we don't get in trouble with the Indiana Gaming Commission or we find a bartender that's been stealing. And, you know, by the time you catch them, how long have they already been doing it before they got caught? So those things have to happen fairly quickly. Again, I will cover the fact that Indiana is an at-will state and the lodge can let any employee go for any reason. Other than the administrator, they can let them go for any reason. You know, that covers anything for any reason short of those protected rights. Gender, sexual orientation, color, religion, those kind of things are all protected. You can't fire someone for those reasons, of course, which we hopefully would never do that. But for anything else, you can pretty much let them go. Now, people are always asking, do they need to be written up? And we don't have to in Indiana, but I'm always a proponent of, if it's something fairly major, but for paperwork and for a paper trail, I like the 3 write-up rule. Again, it doesn't have to be done, but if you've got somebody coming late or doing something being rude, you know, those kind of things need to be written up. You know, not showing up to work at all. That way, when we let them go and they try to get workman's comp, you can say, hey, here's the 3 write-ups and they've signed them, or 2 and they never came back again and they were written up because they weren't showing up to work. Because I just hate having to pay that workman's compensation if we let somebody go. If we can avoid that, that's always a good thing. It's our job to protect the money, the assets of the lodge, and so if you can save money there. Also, something else we discussed while we were in Indianapolis, and I know some of you weren't there to see that, we are really hitting hard about the application review committee and the lodge doing their due diligence on background checks. We have too many people that have felons that are getting through, and especially drug, violence, and sexual offenders are getting through, and some of them are coming back from years ago, and some of them are new. I'm going to tell you right now that Moose International is cracking down on this, and besides doing a background check, this falls on the entire board and the application review committee. I know lots of boards haven't gone and done a separate application review committee. It's usually the board of officers that are doing that. But 3 things we're going to be checking. We're going to be checking to make sure you've done background checks on individuals. On that application, the application review committee, 3 people should be signing that, saying yes, that process has been done and we approve this going forward. Then the board should be approving that application before it goes to the general membership to vote on. If they have a felony, you should not be letting that go forward. It shouldn't even go to the general membership because it should be stopped in the application review committee and at the lodge officer level. Something we are doing and we are verifying. If we know that the board, the application review committee, whether it be the administrator, the president, or whoever, knew that someone had a felon, and especially when it's coming to sexual assault, drugs, or violence, and we can prove for a fact that we know someone on the board knew that they had a felony and approved them anyways, officers can be removed from their position for not doing their due diligence. So just keep that in mind. Let a felon go through and you know about it, you're looking at possibly being removed from your office. They're taking this very strict because we've had too many people the last couple of years that have gotten through and there have been problems. So just keep that in check in your mind. So if you have any questions about background checks, you can always go to My Case Indiana. That's a good place to always check. And you can always check for sexual offenders in your area also. If you go to Indiana and look up sexual offenders registry, it should pop up. So you should be checking that information. If you need help finding those locations or how to get to that, let me know. I'll be more than glad to walk you through that. Something else we need to check, because it goes the other way too. We find out that someone was charged with a felony, and being charged with a felony and being convicted of a felony are 2 different things. So when you're going to My Case, you have to see if that case was decided and what the conclusion was at the very bottom of the report. We have too many people that are trying to get rid of other members in the lodge, and yes, so-and-so was charged with a felony, 5 years ago, but they didn't do their due diligence, didn't look at the bottom, and they either got it dismissed or got pleaded down, and and they were never convicted of a felony. So you have to remember they have to be a convicted felon, so you have to follow through to the end on that. Again, if you have any questions on that, please get a hold of me. That was more than enough, and I kept it under 10 minutes. You guys have a good week. Take care. Bye-bye.